Yo, what's good, Spirit Squad? It's been a really long time since I've seen y'all, but we're going to be here to celebrate the release of Wilds of Eldraine. Here, we're going to be playing what I think is a slightly new take on blue-white control instead of normal spirits. But don't worry, that's coming later. Here, what we've done is we've taken the blue-white control mana base down to just 25 lands, because instead of having to play cards like Opt or Consider, we get to play with Sleight of Hand now. And this is going to be a fairly big deal as far as cantrips go. I'm going to be really excited to have 4 of these in a deck, make more of our land drops, and that means we can put a couple more spells in our deck. Also of note, I want to make this list a little bit lower to the ground as far as interaction's concerned, especially on Arena. Because there's no such thing as Izzet Phoenix deck on Arena, there's no delve spells, that means Spirits is even better here than it is in paper. To that effect, I'm going to be playing 4 copies of Portable Hole in the main deck on top of 2 copies of March of Otherworldly Light, so that we've got some really low to the ground sources of removal. This also means that decks like Mono White are going to be a little bit better because there are slightly fewer Rending Valley decks out there. That means we're going to be playing 4 copies of this new card, Horned Loch-Whale. And it's got 2 parts, of course, because it is an adventure card. The adventure part is the owner of target attacking creature you don't control puts it on the top or bottom of their library. So effectively you Aether Gust an attacker. And for 2 mana at instant speed, I think that's a pretty good source of removal. But it also turns into a fairly respectable threat later on, when you have a 6 mana 6/6 with flash and ward. And sure, it can't block the turn that it comes into play, assuming you flash it on your opponent's turn, but that's really the only downside to the creature part. It's just a big, somewhat respectable beater. I mean, it's not as powerful as something like a Hullbreaker Horror, but a Hullbreaker Horror can't put an attacker on top of the deck for 2 and stall for time against decks like Spirits or Mono White. We also have 2 copies of Brazen Borrower here in the main deck to help accentuate our little 2 mana removal suite. So now we've got a really low to the ground removal speed compared to most other control decks. Between our 4 copies of Horned Loch-Whale, 4 Portable Holes, 2 Marches of Otherworldly Light, and 2 Brazen Borrower, we're no longer relying on cards like Temporary Lockdown or crossing our fingers to get to turn 4 for cards like Supreme Verdict. Instead, we're able to interact with our opponents on a much lower to the ground basis. But everything else is normal control stuff here. We've got 2 copies of Memory Deluge, 3 copies of Supreme Verdict in the main, and there is a 4th one in the board, 3 copies of Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, and then all 4 copies of Shark Typhoon. Again, a shout out to the fact that Spirits is incredibly good on Arena right now. But Shark Typhoon is just a card I like anyway. Our mana base is going to be something that's just pretty staple, aside from the fact that we're only playing 25 lands now. So we're going to be playing a bunch of islands here, like Irrigated Farmland, Hallowed Fountain, 4 actual islands, because we're playing 4 copies of Glacial Fortress in this deck. That also means we're going to be playing 2 copies of Basic Plains. Normally, a deck like this would want cards like Field of Ruin, but since we're only playing 25 lands, I don't really know that Field of Ruin is where I want to be with this specific list. If we were to take out Sleight of Hand, maybe play some cards like Quick Study, for example, we could take out 4 Sleight of Hand, 2 Memory Deluges for 4 copies of Quick Study, and that would give us 2 additional land slots, both of which could be Field of Ruin. So if that's what you want to do with your deck, by all means. But this is what I'm going to be doing here. Our sideboard is not necessarily exciting, but I think it addresses well what the format's actually looking to do. As for our sideboard, I think this is going to be a little bit focused towards what the top of the metagame is doing. We've got 3 copies of Aether Gust because we don't really want to deal with things like Mono Green, but also there's the Red-White Pia deck, Mono Red aggro as a whole, and other decks that just miscellaneously play green sometimes. So I think Aether Gust is in a pretty good spot right now. We'll also be playing 3 copies of Dovin's Veto because we just don't really want to deal with things like the Mirror, but also the creativity decks are pretty solid here. Speaking of solid decks, we do want an anti-aggro plan. Now, we've already got our low-to-the-ground removal in the main deck like the Portable Holes, so that's not really where we want to go with this. Instead, we're going to be playing a 4th copy of Supreme Verdict and a bunch of big lifelinkers, 2 Dream Trawlers, which are also absurd against the Rakdos decks, and 1 copy of Lyra Dawnbringer. So we just get to put in a 4th Supreme Verdict, a bunch of lifelinkers, and decks like Mono White, decks like Spirits, decks like Green Red Aggro, all of those decks really don't appreciate the giant lifelinkers. We've got 3 copies of Mystical Dispute because there are a lot of really good blue decks in the meta right now, and then 2 copies of Rest in Peace, which are primarily for the Greasefang matchup. I'm sure they'll find other uses as the format develops into full-scale Pioneer, like whenever Phoenix gets adapted into the format, but right now, this is what our board's going to be doing. Anyway, that's enough talking about the deck. Let's actually play it. Today's video brought to you by FusionGamingOnline.com, your one-stop shop for all your gaming needs. Okay, so we're in our first round of gameplay here, and our hand is actually pretty acceptable, right? Like, we've got 2 copies of Portable Hole on the draw, so if our opponent's going to be playing an aggro deck, I'm pretty happy about that. If they're not, then Sleight of Hand giving me more land drops or access to counterspells is pretty good, and I've got a Teferi to help clean up afterwards. So, all things considered, can't really complain. So we see a basic island, which tells me absolutely nothing. This could be just like Spectral Sailor in Azorius, but we don't really know, so I'm just going to go ahead and Sleight of Hand for now. If it is Spectral Sailor, I'm actually going to be pretty happy about the fact that we have 2 Portable Holes. So not knowing what my opponent's doing, I'm going to take the Supreme Verdict. It is Spectral Sailor. Okay, so we made the right call in the Supreme Verdict. So now, even if they CO and have Geistlight Snare, I've got 2 copies of Portable Hole, so I'm pretty well protected here. Let's see what they actually want to do with their second turn. Maybe it's Rattle Chains? If so, I'll be fairly happy to snatch Rattle Chains with Portable Hole. They're just casting Shacklegeist. Okay, understood. I've got a second copy of Supreme Verdict now, so that's going to feel pretty decent. And I'm just going to clean up here. So we're just going to take the Shacklegeist, and then the other Portable Hole is also going to take the Spectral Sailor, so that this way I'm going to be able to deny a top-decked copy of Curious Obsession. Here, almost no matter what they do, including holding up Spell Queller, I'm still fairly happy to just have my Shark Typhoon up. That's, oh my Lanta, a second Shark Typhoon. Is this what it's like? Alright, so what I'm hoping to have happen here is that they don't try to put like a CO or anything on here. Instead, I just get to go ahead, cycle a Shark, present it as a blocker for a future CO turn, and of course use the Shark Typhoon to actually hit a land drop, which would be super nice. And we do in fact hit the land drop, so that's pretty sweet. So I'm just going to go ahead, play the land, pass, and we do have the option of using Brazen Borrower as a threat here, but realistically, I don't want to cast Petty Theft until this is off the table. So we're just going to go ahead and let that resolve. We know that we have a blocker. If they want to get cute with something like a Supreme Phantom here, then I'm actually fairly okay with that. I could also put in Brazen Borrower, make them use something like a Spell Queller to counter Brazen Borrower, and then Supreme Verdict afterwards. And I actually think that might be the wave. So let's see if they want to cast a real spell like a Spell Queller here. They do. How perfect for just us. So now I'm going to go ahead and block the Rattle Chains here, kill that, take my 2, go down to 12, untap, and make them relatively sad. So now if they do want to use a Lofty Denial or something on this Brazen Borrower, that's fine, so be it. But look at that, now we've got a board established, life is fairly okay, and I might even be able to start attacking next turn. Well, I can't do anything about the Mutavault here, but that's okay. So I'll take 2, I go to 10, and do I hold up a blocker for exactly 1 more turn? Or do I just resolve a Teferi here? I think I'm going to hold up a blocker for exactly 1 more turn. So I have Shark Typhoon in hand, which gives me access to Typhoon where X is 3, and that blocks Mutavault by itself. So unless they decide to go ahead and like Supreme Phantom first, this is a fairly safe block for just me. Oh, had to talk. All right, fine. I will still trade for the Mutavault. Yeah. So unless they have a Brazen Borrower for the Shark token, don't have that. Okay, good. Make This Appear is actually not bad here because I can cast Teferi. If it resolves, I get to untap the lands for Make This Appear. If it doesn't resolve, then I get the last card out of their hand. I'm actually pretty okay with that. So now I'm just going to make my land drop here, knowing that I'm going to... I'll hold. So I'm going to hold in case the draw is exactly another, like, a Curious Obsession. Oh, that's actually a pretty good draw for me. So now I want to start attacking now that I've got mana up. So I've got things like the March of Otherworldly Light, I've got a Brazen Borrower to bounce, and if they decide to get cute with something, I do have the Make Disappear. We might be past the point in the game where that's actually relevant, but You never know. They're casting Rattle Chains. Okay, so I'm going to do nothing about that. They can have that. So in their upkeep, what I'm going to do to not take as much damage as I could this turn is I'm going to go ahead and... Actually, I can just get rid of both and not have to use the Supreme Verdict. Yeah, let's do that instead. So I was going to go ahead and use the Petty Theft on the Supreme Phantom. But I think I actually just want to get rid of this. And I could Brazen Bower on the Supreme Phantom, but I don't think I care about that just yet. Okay, so now I have a little bit more of an informed decision as to what I want to do with that. And what I want to do with that is simply trade Brazen for Supreme Phantom. So now I've got a little bit of an attacking clock here with my own Brazen Bower, and my Castle Ardenvale can provide blockers for the Mutavault down the road. So this is actually a pretty good look for me. So let's go ahead and get our attack in for 3. They go down to 9, and I don't really see us losing this now. Like, I think we have successfully done the thing. So I'm going to go ahead and let them attack this turn, unless they put CO on this. They do. Okay, that's fine. So now I'm just going to go ahead and make my blocker. So we're going to block to deny the card. I don't really care that my token dies. CO will fall off when the creature stops being a creature. And now we get to go ahead and resume our attack. We've got a 3-turn clock here, which is pretty nice. Also of note, this Glacial Fortress gives me the ability to make a token and use it for Make Disappear so that they have to pay 4 in the event that they have a 3-drop here. So if it's like a Spell Queller, never mind. If it was like a Spell Queller, then I would have been able to make them pay 4 for it instead. But here against Spirits, I want to take out the Memory Deluges. I want to take out maybe the Borrowers, probably not. I think I actually do want to take out the Teferis. I want to bring in the Lyra. I want the Disputes, wherever those are. There they are. And I want my Dream Trawler. No, I want my Supreme Verdict. There we go. Yeah, I don't really want to be putting in Dream Trawler because I started putting Mystical Dispute into the Spirits lists, and I don't want to walk into Mystical Dispute on my big bad threat. Now, if the big bad threat is the Horned Loch-Whale, I care a lot less because, you know, chances are I've already gotten to use the Adventure Half, and that's okay. But a Dream Trawler, that's only one part of a card, and while it is a big lifelink threat, I don't think I want to walk that into just a super free counterspell. At least make them work for it like you do with Lofty and or Geistlight Snare. Okay, so this hand, not that bad. So this could be a lot better, obviously, but there's a lot of starts where this hand is actually just like completely acceptable. That was not a portable hole. I was kind of hoping that was a portable hole, but that's okay. So we'll go ahead and play our land, and now we have access to like March of Otherworldly Light. We've got Sleight of Hand to dig for something later if I care. Good thing there's no CO. That part's nice. And they are holding potential Rattle Chains. Good to know. So I am going to make them either flash it in or simply waste a turn. If they flash in a Spectral Sailor, then I will respond by... actually, let's think about that. So I've got options. I could respond to the Spectral Sailor by marching the Mausoleum Wanderer. I could also simply wait to see if they try to cast a copy of... What stupid card I'm thinking of? Curious Obsession on the Spectral Sailor, and then marching the Curious Obsession itself. I think that's a little bit worse. So I'm going to X is 1 and just doing that. So now if they have a Spell Pierce, so be it. Another Spectral Sailor, that's fine. So I get rid of the Mausoleum Wanderer, which is the target I actually want to get rid of. They don't sacrifice it, which is fine. I don't think that actually like is a certain tell. The only card that they could be playing that cares is Extraction Specialist, and we haven't played that in a while. So I'll just take my 2, and I'll be happy that there's no Curious Obsession here. This is Spell Queller mana, which is a little bit disturbing, but honestly, I don't think it's disturbing enough for me to need to like react with other things. If they decide to cast a creature here, I guess I get to absorb. Nope, unfortunate. Okay, that's fine. Now what? Supreme Phantom. I will absorb that to see if they have Mystical Dispute. Hopefully not. Hooray, they didn't. Actual non-sarcastic hooray. That's a really big deal. So now my Shark Typhoon doesn't trade with a Spectral Sailor. My Shark Typhoon beats Spectral Sailors. If my draw is a Supreme Verdict, I will cast that now and will deny them the ability to make a land drop and draw, but also deny them the ability to slip out is fine. Deny them the ability to just like untap, hold Spell Queller, and do it like that. So Mausoleum Wanderer is fine here. They attack for 2. I cry about it. And now I get to have a Shark Typhoon where X is 3. So that feels pretty good. And this entire time, I've been playing just off curve enough to hold off on his sleight of hand, but now that I've actually got land drops, sleight of hand being able to find me cards that I want a little bit more than just like land drops, since I have established land drops now, I think I'm actually pretty okay with where this is going. And now what I'm going to do with my X3 here is I'm going to try to block specifically the Spectral Sailor rather than Wanderer, because Wanderer can actually be a 3/3 this turn. If they decide to like flash in Rattle Chains plus Spectral Sailor or Rattle Chains plus Mausoleum Wanderer, this can be a 3/3 and it'll trade with my Shark instead of just straight up losing. Also, denying them the card draw is such a big deal. I am not going to attack. I will post-combat cast my Sleight of Hand, and looking for more removal here that's not spell-based? No, I'm still okay with that. So now I can cycle this land. I've got another land in hand. Rattle Chains can, in fact, catch the hands of a Dispute. Don't really want to be dealing with that. And my opponent's going to have a fairly hard time getting out from under this. Shacklegeist is actually completely fine. I'm not even going to dig for a counterspell for that. So instead, what I want to do is simply cycle my farmland and see if this manages to turn into something like a, I don't know, Verdict? I'll cycle that too. Go on somewhere. An island. There we go. That's more like it. So here I'm going to do nothing because my opponent's realistically just going to tap this down anyway. Actually, I guess that means I should have attacked. That was bad. But yeah, I've wasted a turn with this for no reason. So now what I get to do is Horned Loch-Whale, put this on top, and even if that fails and they cast a Spell Queller here, I still get to Shark Typhoon where X is 3. Yes, let's do that. So here's this in action for the first time. Okay, sick. They don't do anything about that. Oh, perfect. They do have another Shacklegeist, which I think is fine, but realistically, they're probably going to concede to this X is 3 Shark. And I'm certainly going to present it. So 1, 2, 3. Ooh, a Petty Theft? Do we finally have a Petty Theft? We don't. Hollow Storm Giants is another excellent draw. So let's go ahead and let them tap one. I attack with the other. And I'm going to play the... Actually, no, I have 2 tokens. What am I doing? I don't need to attack. I can not attack and hold off for something like a Curious Obsession draw. So like now this can block. If they have a creature here... Or, I'm sorry, a creature here, which we know they have, and a Curious Obsession here, then sure, I got. But outside of exactly that, I think we're okay. So in upkeep, I'm going to just go ahead and cast this. Let's see what they want to do with their mana. It's a Geistlight Snare, that's fine. We just saw Hollow Storm Giants developed. So now they draw the Shacklegeist, and they can cast that, but look at my board. I don't really know that I care. They can technically tap this down to get an attack in for 2, but that doesn't really accomplish much here. Yeah, that's fine. So now you're just going to take 13. I'm in for that. Beep, beep, get under the bus. And I've got another Horned Loch-Whale, and that seals it up. All right, GG's opponent. All right, second round of gameplay. We are on the play this time, which is exciting. And our hand is, this is fine. So I've got a bunch of lands. I got a Sleight of Hand. I have both an Absorb and a Horned Loch-Whale. So if they are a slow deck, this is good. If they're a fast deck, this is good. I will put into play this here Irrigated Farmland. That is a Temple Garden, which probably means Greasefang. That's good for both of these cards. So I can't use either of these cards here, so I'm just going to dig for an interaction, and Shark Typhoon counts as mid-interaction. I'll take the Sleight of Hand. I'd rather have that. Instead, let's simply play this one too. That's a little more like it. Now, we can just get like Thought Seized here, Witherbloom Command, and they find the Parhelion. All right, good job, opponent. So I'm going to simply hold up Absorb. So if I get to just like cleanly absorb a Greasefang here, then I suppose I will be medium sad about not having taken the Shark Typhoon. But I will happily take 3 pieces of interaction for actual attackers. So now if they go ahead and just like, that's kind of okay-ish. Heavy on the ish. So the good part about specifically a Seeker's Chariot turns is that I actually do kind of get away with being able to just like Horned Loch-Whale away the Chariot, make them reuse their mana and stuff like that. Or if they have another Greasefang or like a Can't Stay Away for this into this, I get to use 2 of these, and a Supreme Verdict plus a bunch of 6/6s actually feels kind of decent. So let's see if that ends up being the way for us. I want to hold off like 1, maybe 2 turns on a Supreme Verdict until I actually see something that makes me use this. For example, like this by itself, I actually think is fine for like exactly 1 turn, right? So they do get to make the cat. Not much I can do about that, but I do get to do this. And if they have to spend like their entire next turn after they put this on top of their deck, if they have to spend like their entire next turn recasting this, I think I'm pretty okay with that. And if they do this into like a post-combat Greasefang, I'll feel pretty good about a Supreme Verdict. So, I don't know, there's options. I guess that's all I'm saying here. There's options. The Rafine's Informant, you got it, so they can draw the Seeker's Chariot, discard probably another Parhelion. It is another Parhelion, okay, good for them. And a Brazen Bulwark, that is almost exactly what I wanted to see here. So now I'm going to cast my Supreme Verdict. We'll stay at a nice high life total, and my hand now has 3 pieces of interaction for attacking creatures. So won't lie and say I don't feel pretty good about that. Okay, now they've got 6 mana, there's a Shieldred, and she will not be sticking around too long if you don't mind. I hate you, get out my face. What could you possibly be looking at here? I legitimately have no idea what my opponent could be looking at here. Okay, nothing actually makes the most sense to me. I was very concerned. I'm like, what the hell could my opponent Okay, so there comes a time in every man's life when he's really tempted to just hard cast a Shark Typhoon. We will not be doing that. Go ahead, opponent. Grizzly Salvage, that's fine, I guess. Do they find a Greasefang? No, but they do find a Takenuma, which is almost a Greasefang. So it is a Greasefang if they have another land. Shark Typhoon is 1/2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Thoughtseize first. I am just gonna let that rock, I think. Or do I make my 4/4? No, I think I make a 4/4. You can have one of these 106 Loch-Whales. Oh, you can take my portable hole. So scary. All right, so they're going to take one of these Loch-Whales. I still have one left over. And even if they cast like a Shieldred here, I'm still mostly okay with having access to like this plus this. If they cast a Seeker's Chariot for some reason instead of Shieldred, okay, they don't. I was gonna say if they cast a Chariot instead for some odd reason, then I guess I'm pretty happy, but I'm not that lucky. Okay, Absorb is actually kind of good, and I can't really profitably block like that, so I'm simply going to pass the turn. If they do attack with the Shieldred, then that's where I get to use the other Horn Loch-Whale. I get to absorb something like this or even like a Greasefang itself. But now they can actually Takenuma plus Greasefang. Oh, actually, they could have done that regardless of this. Never mind. And it looks like that is the plan. So they're going to Takenuma for Greasefang. I get to counter Greasefang with this top decked Absorb here, and I'll get to feel pretty good about using my Loch-Whale to put this away too. All right, fuck out my face. So they get to attack, and I make a decision between using my Loch-Whale here and putting this away versus developing my Brazen Bulwark. I think I want to develop my Brazen Bulwark. I think is what I want to do this turn. Okay, yes, I'll take the damage. I cry about that. Boseiju on this, huh? That's fine, I guess. So I get to go ahead, put an island into play. And I do want an island more than a plains. I specifically want a basic island. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I need to draw a land if I want to use this Horn Loch-Whale here, so I'm actually just gonna let the mana go to waste. Okay. Unfortunately, I don't get to make a shark for 5, so instead I'll just play this. And I gotta play it now because if I play it during their turn, then this actually comes in tapped. But playing it during my turn presents a pretty respectable threat here. They can develop the Seeker's Chariot, which is fine. But what I get to do then is untap, and I will actually Portable Hole one of the cats. That's fine. So I'll go ahead and Portable Hole one of the cats, and that makes their life a lot harder for being able to crew the Chariot. And Jesus Christ, I definitely do not mind that trade. And using the Portable Hole on one of the cats denies them the ability to crew this. So that's pretty nice. Go away, little meow meow. You're loud. But the Chariot doesn't fly, so I don't really care about that. So now I'm going to just Teferi, and they know I have a Horn Loch-Whale, so I don't need to worry about, yeah, pack it up. Now in our sideboard, I've got the 2 Rest in Pieces that we talked about before, and I don't really know that I want any of the other things here, other than a Supreme Verdict. I do want that. I don't want the Marches, and I don't particularly care about Portable Hole. So what do I want instead of these things? I could just play a bunch of big-ass lifelinkers, but I actually think I just want Aether Gust a little bit more. Now, Aether Gust isn't good against the core combo, which means I actually think it might be worse than the Dovin's Vetoes. Let's play Dovin's Vetoes instead. Yeah, so the thought process there was that Aether Gust is good against a lot of the setup stuff and a Seeker's Chariot, but it's not good against exactly Greasefang itself. However, Dovin's Veto is good against most of the setup and any sideboarded copies of Liliana of the Veil, which matter a lot against me. So I think this is a much better sideboard approach than the Aether Gust. Had to stop and think about that though. This hand is fine. It's fine. So I've got two pieces of interaction between Make Disappear and Horn Loch-Whale, and I've got a Shark Typhoon to help develop me towards this Teferi. Now, if this is just like a Thoughtseize turn here, then I don't really care about that. Whoa, that was weird but cool. Oh, okay. These sleeves are awesome. Holy shit. I still like mine better, but that was awesome. All right, so we drew a Deserted Beach, which is actually fine if I draw a Supreme Verdict down the road, because now I've got guaranteed double white. Bankbuster is surprisingly fine with me here. Like, yes, I would have appreciated being on the play and having a Make Disappear for this, but like, that's not what happened, so whatever, so be it. Oh, main phasing, sure. No land drop is very good for me. Deluge, okay. So now we're getting to the point of the game where it is my opponent's job to do something much more proactive than this. Okay, a Thoughtseize, so yeah, I was gonna say a Thoughtseize totally counts as proactive, by the way. So I will make my 1/1 Shark, just in case shit gets real over the next couple of turns, and I'm actually rewarded by drawing a land that they can't Thoughtseize. So they have to choose between like really bad thing, medium bad thing, but I can cast next turn, or directly interactive thing, and I like making them make that choice. Okay, so now I've got two pieces of interaction here, and I'm pretty happy about that. They've seen the Deserted Beach. Neither piece of combo is in the graveyard, so this is a safe attack. So they can just like finish this and kind of call that a day, but I actually think they should probably try to just like play a creature or two because they salvage. Okay, so they find a Chariot and they can get Boseiju in hand. They just take the Greasefang instead. I understand the choice, but I don't know that I agree with it. Whatever, not my problem. So what do we want to do here? I think I just want to try to play Teferi here, knowing that I have a blocker in both this Shark and a Horn Loch-Whale that they know about. I could have put this on the bottom of their deck, but I'm sorry, and this, whatever this zone's called, top 3, no attack. But I think doing this is probably a little better for me. If they try to Thoughtseize, I have 2 Loch-Whale, so I don't really care about that. Yeah, it's like you take interactive card A or interactive card B, and either way I've still got my Teferi. So they get the Chariot, they choose who to crew, or not choose who to crew, they crew the Chariot. And I get to choose between putting it away or letting them have it in hand. And I think putting it away might actually be a little better, because at least that denies them an additional like draw step into something good. Oh, never mind. I get to do everything. Sick. So now they make a token here, which is fine. I block the Chariot with the Teferi, and I get to Horn Loch-Whale the Bankbuster. So they do later on get to draw more cards with the Bankbuster, but my Teferi is just going to be like well and good here. And if I look at God, a wise man once said, never didn't have it. All right. So now they do get to develop another Chariot here, but I actually get to just like get rid of one of the cats and make their life incredibly difficult. If they do something to revive this Greasefang here, oh, that's fine. I just get to get rid of that. Yeah, I'll just bounce this. I'm not going to worry about that, really. A Brazen Ball or 2, sick. So now I get to do the thing with the Memory Deluge. Do I even want to do that now that I have a Shark Typhoon? No. A little trick that you can do is float mana and then untap those lands with the Teferi to have more mana available during your turn. But I actually don't want to do that here since I have, I drew the Shark Typhoon. So I just want to make use of my super big Shark and just not really worry about anything from here. So 5 mana is a Rafine's Informant, which is all fine. I'm okay with that. If they have another Greasefang, I can interact with that via my Brazen Bower here. So we just get to bounce that. And I get to just cast the borrower. I think I want bigger than a 3/3 shark, so I'm just gonna cast this. Oh, sick, another borrower. Let's go. So now we get to go ahead, draw up to 8 loyalty here, and I'm actually pretty hype about the draw specifically being this Dovin's Veto, because now I have a play around something like a Thoughtseize. So I will also not be doing the Deluge thing. Let me think about that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That leaves me with 3 mana. 3 mana is not enough to both veto and borrower, so I'm instead going to do a shark for X equals 4. Yes, I like that. Yes. So if I cycle for X is 4, I now have a blocker that is bigger than the Rafine's Informant, and I can still use both my Petty Theft and Dovin's Veto. All right, sick. And a Supreme Verdict is just kind of icing on the cake here. Let's see what it is my opponent can try to cook up here. Go for the throat. I see a Bankbuster. That could be a Thoughtseize. Nah, I'll just not let that happen. And a Greasefang. Okay, so now Greasefang is going to have the exact same thing happen to it. And with my next turn, I get to just Emblem the Teferi. So good game, opponent. Yeah, nice. All right, sick, easy, 2-0. Let's keep it going. Be sure to check out additional content from myself, Nikachu, the Commander Cookout, and others at themanabase.com. All right, last round of the day, and we're on the play with a couple of sharks and a Teferi. This is easily the worst hand that we've seen all day, but I actually think it's still worth keeping. So let's see what ends up happening between our 2 cycles here. Of note, we are only playing 25 lands, so the likelihood of us drawing spells is a lot higher than it would in your traditional like 27 land lists. So that at least is some kind of Darkboar pathway, so we're probably playing against Greasefang again. Annoying, but at least... Oh, sick. Never mind. I was going to say annoying, but at least we have some medium ways to dig into interaction, but now this is actually just interaction. So I'm not going to cycle the shark... Whoa, look at us go. We are Briar Bridge Tracker. Very cool. I think I actually... This doesn't trample. I don't necessarily want them to have the clue, but I am more worried about bigger mid-range things coming out of them. So I'm going to go ahead and cycle my shark for 1 and see what really I can dig up from here. That's not a bad start. That's a better start. Sick. So I'm not going to attack. I'm just going to block with my shark if I'm allowed to. Jump in front. Bye, sweet shark. You were amazing. Everybody loved you. Another Briarbridge Tracker. Now, still not a fan of these clues, but I am a fan of Supreme Verdict doing the thing. So the dilemma here becomes, do I want to cycle my shark and go for a land drop? I think the answer is yes. Option B was simply not. Oh, hell yeah, they used a card on my shark? Never mind. Life is good. Life is good. Everybody's happy. By everybody, I mean me. I did not expect them to actually use a card on a Shark Typhoon token. Okay, so there's the Chariot, and that was actually my biggest concern from earlier. But I think I'm actually still fine with this. So let's dig for a land first. I find one. Perfect. And I'm going to portable hole one of the cats so that it's a lot harder to crew the token. I still have mana for Absorb up, so I feel a lot more comfortable being able to play around their ability to attack here. So 5 mana for them. Glissa Sunslayer. Eesh, that's cool. All right. I do want to absorb that. I don't want to waste turns thinking about whether that's going to hit me or not. If they have another creature in hand, okay, that's fine. I was going to say, if they have another creature in hand, then yes, they would have been able to crew this, but they didn't, so oh well. And here fuck it, I'm just going to cast my Teferi. I thought about not doing that, but there's no way not casting my Tef is right. So I'll just go ahead and untap a couple of lands here. They get to crack their clue. It is what it is. Now, I could Brazen Bower the other clue, but I actually think that's straight up worse than giving myself the ability to Brazen Bower here. Briarbridge Tracker. Now, how do I want to respond to this? So they can use this to crew up the Chariot because they have a clue token here. What I can do is Petty Theft the cat token, let them attack Teferi for 4, Teferi goes down to 1, and untap with Teferi still in play, and the ability to Brazen Bower for X is 5 to beat out both this and the Chariot. I think I like that. Now, I still don't necessarily appreciate the fact that they have 2 clues and all that other good stuff, but my Teferi lives, which I think is currently the important part. So now they've targeted the token, the clue, or the cat, not a clue. There we go. Words are hard. what the fuck is this? Oh, that's fine. Like, no, I don't get my Brazen Borrower, but the flyer wasn't the important part of that card for me anyway. So let's go ahead and draw a card here. Make This Appear might actually come up. So I'm going to make use of my mana when I cycle for the Shark Typhoon, and I want to make an X's 5. So doing this gives me the ability to still cast my Make This Appear. Yeah, I like that. So I have a I have a blocker that's bigger than both their attackers, and they have to choose between this and this unless they play something else with power 3 or better. That's actually fine. I don't necessarily enjoy the fact that my Teferi's dying here, but if they're spending their entire turn doing this, that actually is better for me than if they spent like a card in their hand doing something more proactive. So here, without worrying about Teferi, I actually get to race them, which is a wild thought, but it is what it is. Because I've got the Absorb to gain life, I've got a 5/5 here, and yes, another Fatal Push will dunk on this, but for now, I'm pretty okay between the combination of Castle Ardenvale and my Absorb. So if they just attack me for 4, I'm not going to make a blocker. Instead, I'll try to use my Castle Vantress plus Absorb. What do you do? I do not care. Okay, so let's scry for something cool. Hello, get out of my... Wait, you have 2 mana left. Damn, fine. Leave my 5/5 alone. But now I go back up to 20, which is actually the most important part of that for me. And I definitely do want the Horned Loch-Whale. So now they're at 8. Let's go ahead and pass here. They do draw a card with their clue token. Pretty good for them. Land drop, don't care. Chariot is annoying, but I actually don't think it races my flyer. So you get more cats. That's all well and good. Yes, yes, more meow meows. So I'm going to put the Chariot on top. So if they cast it, they of course do get more tokens. Oh, they actually put it on the bottom? Yeah. I'll take 4, go to 16. Draw a card, lose a life. I would actually rather we didn't do that if you don't mind. Oh, right. It's a mana dork. Duh. That's fine. All right. You got me. You can draw a card and lose a life then. Let's go ahead and scry. Trying to find a Supreme Verdict, I guess. Oh, actually, Iganjo's not bad, right? Put a 2. And let's see if they end up having to be scared of my... Oh, actually, I could have just played this. That does not solve problems because even if they draw a card, they only go up to 4. Okay, yeah, that's fine. So they could find a Fatal Push. I really hope that's not what happens. Find... Hooray! Sick. I was like, as long as they don't find a Fatal Push or another Go for the Throat, that's okay. And that's not what happened, so let's go us. So a lot of the cards in their deck are green, which was kind of nice to see. Portable Hole was actually like not great against what they were doing. They had a lot of like 3 and 4 drops, not a lot of 1 and 2 drops. So I just want to play like basically every single big giant life linking flyer ever, especially the Dream Trawlers, because it's going to be really hard for them to deal with Dream Trawler. Aether Gust is going to be pretty good against their whatever the thing is that makes clues, good against the Chariot. And I assume they probably board into like at least 1 or 2 planeswalkers. That's much better. I want... Man, am I actually getting rid of Basic Island? I really want the land drop, but I like all 3 of these. I'm going to get rid of Sleight of Hand. No, but Sleight of Hand helps recover post-Thoughtseize, and I have to assume they're siding into Duresses on top of Thoughtseizes. So that was actually a bit of a question mark there is keeping a Sleight of Hand in hand with 3 lands better than simply keeping 4 lands? So here I assume they take care of the Supreme Verdict, but between the Sleight of Hand and Memory Deluge, I get to... Oh, okay. I get to go ahead and, I guess, partially recover the hand, but they actually take the Sleight of Hand. So that actually makes me a little glad that we decided to... I guess that's going to happen, okay. I guess I'm a little glad that they decided to do it like that. So now I'll play my Hall of Storm Giants. I do only have a Supreme Verdict for interaction, but that's pretty good interaction. Not exactly what I wanted to see from the opponent. Gliss is going to be really good. So they get to draw a card here, and I won't lie and say I'm happy about that, but it is what it is. If they play another creature, of course I get the Verdict. If not, never mind, I don't get the Verdict. I lied about that. Oh, wait. Did it just... I guess. All right. Unfortunately, I know that I am walking into a Isika's Chariot. I think I have to let the Glissa hit me exactly 1 more turn. That actually kind of sucks a lot. So if I draw into more interaction here, like, I would love to draw something like a Horned Loch-Whale, for example. Then I suppose I'll feel... Oh, that kind of plays. Okay, I guess I get hit for 1 more turn and hope for a land. If they don't play anything, I cycle the shark. Because I actually do want to cycle the shark. I actively want to hit land drops. I think that's better than using Castle Ardenvale. Okay, so Chariot will catch the Absorb. I don't want to deal with the vehicle part of that card. Also, going up to 14 is a fairly big deal for me, actually. Another shark is not what I wanted here. We don't have any creature lands, and I've dealt with the Chariot, so I guess I'll use the Supreme Verdict. And they get to develop something for one more turn here, but hopefully my Shark Typhoons can kind of catch me up here. There's a Shieldred, not happy about that. Well, the land I wanted came a little late, but I guess Crimea River, right? So they get back potentially Glissa, or yeah, Glissa. So now if they cast a Glissa, I suppose, oh, they got the Clue Maker, okay. More lands for them. I want to make a 1/1 blocker and see if I can't spin myself into like a counterspell or something. Now I 2-dig the damage from, oh, that's actually pretty good. All right, let's jump in front of Shieldred here. They do get to resolve their thing. Not much to do about that. You got it. And I want to simply make another blocker. I do take 2+2 more damage since I'm not petty thefting the Shieldred here, but I think giving myself the draw step to go for a copy of Supreme Verdict might be a little better for me here. That's fine. That's okay, actually. Yes. This is getting more into the realm of okay. So I have a lot of options here. I can 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Provided one more land comes in, I can... don't particularly enjoy that. What am I walking into if I simply use token to block? I think the answer is close to nothing. That's fine. So they used a card on that, which is pretty good for me. And I want to get rid of that now. So they can pop the clue, redraw this, and play it. Oh, they did it first. What? Oh, okay. They also put it on the bottom. So what does that mean is in hand? Another Chariot? Another Tracker. They just had 2. Okay. So let's bounce this, not take the 2 from that, and maybe we even get to draw into a counterspell. No, but I do get to do just... wait. Oh, no, I'm 1 short, aren't I? Yeah, I've got 5. 5 is not 6. So I am still stuck digging for a way to go blank. I lose. No, I can technically make a blocker or block this and untap and have a Supreme Verdict. That could happen. So I guess I'll give myself the chance to do that. So we'll make the blocker, see if this is not a Fatal Push or Go for the Throat or whatever. And I go down to 4 with Shieldred's Trigger, and we draw a Lifelinker. Well, all right, let's try it. No, don't you dare have a Go for the Throat after all that. Okay, that I can't do anything about. I will straight up cry if this is a removal spell. Okay, drawing more cards. Oh, yes, you untap. I go to 2 and then 7. Oh, Otawara, also really good. All right, we are doing the thing. Let's go to 7. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. All right, so I don't really have a great way to do any 2 things this turn, but I can Otawara, bounce the Shieldred, and what? And I've got exactly 4 more mana left over, which doesn't really do too much for me. I mean, I do get to cast a Brazen Borrow with the remaining mana, so it's not stone nothing, but it's not actually good either. What's this? A Thoughtseize? Duress. Hell yeah. All right. So now I will bounce the Shieldred in response to the Castle Loch-Whale. It denies them both the life gain and the Shieldred, and it takes more damage from that. Glissa? Pretty good. I'm actually much more okay with Glissa than Shieldred. Like, Glissa at least I can deal with using the stupid Castle Ardenvale here. 2 Scrap Gorgers, okay. And I would still appreciate a copy of Supreme Verdict at some point during this next turn cycle. Sleight of hand, all right. That gets me, hopefully, interaction. Aether Gust, that certainly counts. So now we get to go up to 10. All right, go Gadget Flyers, I guess. So now I get to 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I don't get to both make a flyer. I'm sorry, make a blocker and Aether Gust, but I'm pretty happy just being able to Aether Gust here. So there's no creature land here, which means what? I'm taking just the 2 from this unless they develop a token. We are no longer in the realm of Shieldred being the scariest thing, even if I am still fairly worried about Glissa. So do I want to make a blocker with the Castle Ardenvale, or do I want to use my Aether Gust? Option C. I could also just like make a 6 or 7/7. The 7/7, I guess, loses to... Oh, never mind. Cool. Perfect. Easy. I was going to say the 7/7 loses to a copy of like Fatal Push or Go for the Third or something like that, but the Lyra was really good. So, sweet. Okay, so we've played 3 games on the ladder now, and that was a pretty fun experience, right? Like, we got to play against some fairly hard matchups in Spirits, which is just difficult as shit, but also 2 dedicated creature decks, both of which have access to Thoughtseize and Duress. And we ended up coming on top of all of that. So these are all matchups that are typically hard for blue-white control. I mean, Greasefang's not that hard, but they have enough interaction to make it hard. So I guess it's closer to even than people would probably believe. Anyway, really good stuff all around, and a lot of the new cards came in super clutch, especially the Horned Loch-Whale. Did its job really admirably, and it did exactly what I was hoping it would do the entire time. It would reduce our removal suite's mana costs down to the point where Supreme Verdict wasn't the only card I needed to rely on to win games anymore. In a lot of these builds, people were playing things like, 3, sometimes even 4 copies of March or Otherworldly Light, but other than that, every other piece of removal costs 3 mana plus. They're not playing cards like Portable Hole. Sometimes you'll catch a list that plays Laydown Arms, and those are pretty good, but relying on things like Temporary Lockdown, Supreme Verdict, and sometimes even higher cost things like Farewell, I think those are the reasons that decks like Mono White can just really get under a deck like this, or Spirits just doesn't really give a fuck about those things at all. But we made them give lots of fucks with the much lower cost removal suite, and the Brazen Borrowers just added to that. So I was really happy to have a bunch of interaction for lower costs as a direct result of all of that. And the Sleight of Hand's helping to stabilize our hands, finding things like that copy of Supreme Verdict against the Spirits list. All of that added up to what ended up being a much more smooth experience than I have sometimes gotten out of blue-white control. So I think I'm going to be pretty interested in exploring this, pun unintended, as, a real player going forward into not necessarily a whole new version of blue-white, but a slightly lower to the ground version of blue-white that really just kind of did the job admirably. Like, it felt smooth, it did the thing. Just about every single card in our sideboard was put into the main deck at some point, and we only played 3 matches. So I'm already pretty satisfied with the direction I think this list is going to be going in. Anyway, let me know what you think about this list. Was it clean? What do you think I should be playing? Was leaving out Wandering Emperor a real blasphemy? Are you playing Quick Study? Anyway, let me know what's up in the comments. But that's going to be it for today's gameplay. Glad to spend time with y'all again. It has been a while, I'm aware. But if you like what you saw, make sure to click the like button. Let me know. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll see y'all on the next one.